Welcome to this archived collection of broadcast material recovered from station WVOS Channel 14, serving the Clearwater Valley region between 1987 and 1994. What you're about to experience is a chronological presentation of programming that aired during this 7-year period. These recordings have been preserved exactly as they were broadcast, with no editing or commentary. We recommend viewing in a darkened room for the most authentic experience. Thank you for your interest in telecommunications history. This is WVOS Channel 14, broadcasting to the Clearwater Valley and surrounding communities. It is now 11:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, September 14th, 1987. For those of you still with us at this late hour, we're pleased to present our regular overnight programming. But first, a message from the National Weather Service. Attention Clearwater Valley residents. The National Weather Service has issued a special weather statement for the following counties: Marshall, Henderson, Riverside, and Northern Summit. Current conditions show clear skies with temperatures in the mid-60s. Barometric pressure is steady at 30.12 inches. Winds are calm at 3 miles per hour from the northwest. Tomorrow's forecast calls for continued clear conditions, with highs reaching the low 70s. Perfect September weather for outdoor activities. However, observers have noted unusual atmospheric phenomena occurring at high altitude. These phenomena are not cause for concern, but may be visible to residents with unobstructed views of the night sky. If you observe unusual lights or color variations in the upper atmosphere, particularly in the northern quadrants, this is normal atmospheric refraction and poses no danger. There is no need to report these observations to authorities. Simply enjoy this rare natural display. For your safety and comfort, we recommend closing curtains and blinds before sleeping tonight. This will help maintain indoor temperatures as evening temperatures drop. The National Weather Service wishes you a pleasant evening. This concludes our weather statement. We now return to our regularly scheduled programming. For those just joining us, you're watching WVOS Channel 14, your trusted source for news, weather, and entertainment in the Clearwater Valley. Coming up after this brief announcement, we'll continue with our late-night movie presentation. But first, an important message from the Clearwater Valley Office of Civil Preparedness. Good evening, Clearwater Valley. This is Director Margaret Chen from the Office of Civil Preparedness. I'm speaking to you tonight about a new community initiative designed to enhance our regional safety and awareness. Over the past several months, our office has been coordinating with state and federal agencies to implement updated emergency protocols. These protocols are part of a nationwide modernization effort and represent the latest advances in public safety. Starting October 1st, all Clearwater Valley residents will begin receiving monthly civil preparedness bulletins in their mail. These bulletins contain important safety information, emergency contact numbers, and updates on local preparedness initiatives. We ask that you read these bulletins carefully and keep them in an accessible location. The information they contain may be vital during emergency situations. Additionally, we're introducing new emergency broadcast signal tests. You may have noticed that our regular test of the emergency broadcast system now includes additional tones and visual patterns. These new signals are part of an enhanced system that allows us to communicate more detailed information during actual emergencies. If you see geometric patterns or unusual visual displays during these tests, this is intentional and part of the new system's functionality. We want to emphasize that Clearwater Valley remains one of the safest regions in the state. These new protocols are simply precautionary measures, standard across all communities. There is no specific threat or concern prompting these updates. We're simply ensuring that our infrastructure keeps pace with modern safety standards. One more item. Some residents have contacted our office asking about the atmospheric observations mentioned in tonight's weather statement. While these phenomena are entirely natural, we understand they may appear unusual to those unfamiliar with high-altitude atmospheric effects. If you choose to observe these phenomena, we recommend doing so only briefly. Extended observation of the night sky can lead to eye strain and discomfort. Again, there is no cause for concern. These are routine atmospheric conditions. Thank you for your attention. Remember, a prepared community is a safe community. This has been Director Margaret Chen. Good night, Clearwater Valley. Thank you, Director Chen. WVOS Channel 14 is proud to partner with the Office of Civil Preparedness in bringing you this important safety information. We now return to our late-night movie presentation, already in progress. Tonight's film is The Endless Horizon, a 1954 science fiction drama. For those joining us now, We're approximately 40 minutes into the film. Enjoy. This is WVOS Channel 14. The time is now 2:33 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. For our insomnia friends still with us, we'll continue broadcasting until our regular sign-off at 5 a.m. But first, we pause for station identification and another brief message. You are watching WVOS Channel 14, licensed to broadcast by the Federal Communications Commission, serving Clearwater Valley and surrounding communities since 1963. Studio facilities are located at 1840 Broadcast Lane, Henderson City. For programming information or to report technical difficulties, please call our studio line during business hours. We interrupt our programming for an important update from the National Weather Service. The special weather statement issued earlier this evening has been extended through tomorrow morning. Atmospheric conditions continue to develop in ways that may be visible to residents. Current observations indicate increased luminosity in the upper atmosphere, particularly in northern and eastern sky sections. Residents who observe these phenomena should note the following precautions. First, limit observation time to no more than 30 seconds at a time. Extended viewing may cause temporary vision disturbances, including afterimages and color perception changes. These effects are temporary and harmless but may be disorienting. Second, if you experience unusual thoughts or sensory perceptions while viewing the night sky, simply look away and focus on nearby objects. These experiences are the result of eye strain and will resolve quickly. Third, and most importantly, do not attempt to photograph or video record the phenomena. Electronic imaging equipment may malfunction when pointed at affected portions of the sky, and the resulting images may be distorted or unsettling. This is due to the specific wavelengths of light involved in these atmospheric conditions, which cameras are not designed to properly capture. The Weather Service wishes to reiterate that these conditions pose no physical danger. The precautions listed are simply to ensure your comfort and prevent unnecessary concern. Atmospheric phenomena of this type occur naturally and will resolve within the next 24 to 48 hours. If you have questions, please contact your local Weather Service office during regular business hours. This concludes our update. WVOS Channel 14 now returns to regular programming. We hope you're enjoying The Endless Horizon. The film will conclude in approximately 20 minutes, followed by our regular sign-off procedures. Good morning, Clearwater Valley. This is WVOS Channel 14. The time is 5:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, September 15th, 1987. We conclude our broadcast day with our national anthem. Please stand if you're able. Following the anthem, we will sign off until 6 a.m. when our regular morning programming begins. Thank you for watching WVOS Channel 14, your window on the valley. Good night and good morning. The image on your screen shows the American flag, gently waving. The national anthem plays in its familiar arrangement. But there's something slightly unusual about the audio. The tempo seems marginally slower than standard. The orchestration includes instruments that sound almost right, but not quite correct. This continues for the anthem's full duration. As the final notes play, the flag image holds for several seconds longer than typical. Then the screen cuts to static, pure white noise, before going completely black. The silence lasts exactly 30 seconds. Then quietly, almost imperceptibly, a low hum begins. It's not quite mechanical, not quite organic. It pulses irregularly, like breathing that doesn't follow human rhythm. This continues for 3 minutes before true silence returns. This is WVOS Channel 14, beginning our broadcast day. The time is 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, September 15th, 1987. Today's programming begins with Morning Valley, your daily source for local news, weather, and community events. But first, we have a brief announcement from Clearwater Valley Public Schools. Attention parents and students. Due to unforeseen facility maintenance requirements, all Clearwater Valley Public Schools will operate on a modified schedule today, September 15th. Students should arrive at their regular time, but dismissal will occur 2 hours early. Elementary schools will dismiss at 1 p.m., middle schools at 1:30 p.m., high schools at 2 p.m. This early dismissal is purely precautionary and relates to air quality testing in school buildings. There is no danger to students or staff. Parents who cannot arrange early pickup should contact their school's main office. Extended care will be available for students who must remain on campus until regular dismissal time. These students will be supervised in designated outdoor areas. Weather permitting, This modified schedule applies only to today, September 15th. Regular scheduling will resume tomorrow, September 16th, unless families are notified otherwise. Clearwater Valley Public Schools appreciates your understanding and cooperation. For questions, please contact your student's school directly. Thank you. WVOS Channel 14 is pleased to support Clearwater Valley Public Schools in communicating with our community. We now begin Morning Valley. Today's program features weather updates, traffic reports, and a special segment on fall gardening tips. Stay with us. Good morning, Clearwater Valley. I'm Susan Hendricks with your Morning Valley Weather Report. We're starting this beautiful September day with temperatures in the upper 50s, heading toward a high of 74 degrees. Skies are clear, though some viewers may notice a slight haziness in the upper atmosphere. This is residual effect from the atmospheric phenomena observed overnight. It should clear completely by mid-afternoon. Barometric pressure is holding steady. Winds are calm. It's a perfect day for any outdoor activities you have planned. However, we do want to mention one small item. Some residents have reported feeling unusually tired this morning, despite adequate sleep. If you're experiencing unexpected fatigue, this may be related to the atmospheric conditions affecting local air quality at minimal levels. The effect is harmless and should resolve by early afternoon. In the meantime, consider limiting strenuous outdoor activities to the later part of the day. Tonight's forecast calls for continued clear conditions with temperatures dropping into the low 60s. Excellent sleeping weather. Do remember to keep curtains drawn tonight as well. The atmospheric phenomena may continue through tomorrow morning, and the light variations can be disruptive to sleep patterns. Your weather forecast is brought to you by Henderson Hardware, serving the Valley since 1952. I'm Susan Hendricks. Stay tuned for traffic updates, and now our traffic report. Good morning, this is Tom Chen with your Valley traffic update. We're seeing very light traffic on all major routes this morning. Unusually light, actually. I-40 through the Valley is virtually empty in both directions. Route 17 shows minimal traffic. Even downtown Henderson, which is usually busy by this time, is reporting almost no vehicles on surface streets. This light traffic is excellent news for your morning commute. Travel times are minimal on all routes. However, if you are planning to drive this morning, please note that several drivers have reported brief disorientation while traveling north on Route 17. If you experience any unusual visual phenomena while driving, simply pull over safely, close your eyes for 30 seconds, and the effect will pass. This is likely related to the atmospheric conditions and the angle of morning sunlight. Transit Authority buses are running on normal schedules. The Valley Shuttle service is operating as usual. Park and ride facilities have plenty of available spaces. It's a great morning for a smooth commute. Clearwater Valley. Traffic is brought to you by Valley Auto, your trusted source for vehicle sales and service. I'm Tom Chen. Thank you, Tom. That was Morning Valley Traffic. We'll continue with more local news and information after this important message from the Clearwater Valley Office of Civil Preparedness. This is Deputy Director Michael Torres from the Office of Civil Preparedness, following up on Director Chen's message from last evening. We want to provide additional clarity about the atmospheric phenomena some residents observed during the night. First, we want to assure everyone that these phenomena are entirely natural. They're the result of unusual but non-threatening conditions in the upper atmosphere, likely caused by solar activity interacting with the magnetosphere. Second, we understand that some residents are reporting unusual experiences associated with viewing the phenomena. These experiences are the natural result of the human brain processing unfamiliar visual stimuli. When you see something your brain doesn't have a reference for, it may create temporary sensory confusion. This is completely normal and harmless. The experiences resolve quickly and have no lasting effects. Third, we ask that residents refrain from discussing these experiences in detail with others, particularly children. Detailed descriptions can create anxiety and lead to suggestibility, where people expect to have certain experiences and then perceive them even if they're not actually occurring. By keeping discussions general and factual, we can prevent unnecessary community concern. Fourth, we want to address reports of unusual dreams experienced by residents last night. Some individuals have contacted our office describing vivid or disturbing dreams that seem more intense than normal. This is a known effect of atmospheric electromagnetic variations. The same conditions that create visible phenomena can also affect sleep patterns and dream intensity. These dreams, while perhaps uncomfortable, are simply dreams. They don't represent premonitions, messages, or anything beyond your brain processing the day's stimuli in unusual ways. Finally, a reminder. The monthly Civil Preparedness Bulletin will begin arriving in mailboxes next week. Please read these bulletins carefully. They contain information about local emergency protocols, including new procedures that differ from what you may have learned in the past. It's important that all residents familiarize themselves with these updates. The Office of Civil Preparedness is here to serve Clearwater Valley. Our goal is to keep you informed and safe. If you have questions or concerns, please contact our office during business hours. We're located at 890 Municipal Drive in Henderson City. Office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thank you. This is Deputy Director Michael Torres. Have a safe day, Clearwater Valley. Thank you, Deputy Director Torres. WVOS Channel 14 appreciates the Office of Civil Preparedness, keeping our community informed. We continue now with Morning Valley. Coming up, we'll speak with local gardening expert Patricia Holmes about preparing your garden for fall. But first, let's check back with Susan Hendricks for an update on today's weather conditions. Susan, can you tell us more about what residents might expect today regarding the atmospheric phenomena? Thank you, yes. So as I mentioned earlier, we're expecting the haziness to clear by mid-afternoon. The atmospheric conditions are diminishing naturally as the sun rises higher in the sky. By this evening, conditions should be completely normal. Tonight's sky should be perfectly clear and ordinary. However, I should mention that some viewers have called the station asking about whether they should still observe the night sky tonight, assuming conditions normalize. That's actually an interesting question. While the phenomena itself will be gone, we've been advised by the Weather Service that residents may want to avoid extended stargazing for the next several nights. This is because your eyes may still be somewhat sensitized from the unusual light wavelengths present during the phenomena. Even though the phenomena is gone, your visual system may need a few days to fully recalibrate to normal night sky conditions. This is really just an abundance of caution. There's no danger in looking at the sky. We're simply suggesting that you might want to limit your stargazing activities for a few days to allow your visual system to return to baseline. Certainly keep your curtains closed at night as suggested, but beyond that, just go about your normal routines. Everything is returning to normal. That's very helpful, Susan. Thank you. So in summary, folks, today is a beautiful September day. The unusual atmospheric activity is resolving, and within a few days, everything will be completely back to normal. Nothing to worry about. Just another interesting natural occurrence here in the valley. We'll be right back with Patricia Holmes and her fall gardening tips after this brief station break. This is WVOS Channel 14. The time is now 7:15 a.m. We pause for station identification. You are watching WVOS Channel 14, broadcasting to Clearwater Valley and surrounding communities. We'll return to Morning Valley in just a moment. Welcome back to Morning Valley. I'm pleased to be joined now by Patricia Holmes, who writes the Valley Garden column for the Henderson Daily News and is a longtime resident of Clearwater Valley. Patricia, thank you for being with us this morning. Thank you for having me. I'm always happy to talk about gardening. Now, Patricia, we're in mid-September, which is prime fall gardening season. What should Valley residents be thinking about in their gardens right now? Well, this is an interesting time. September is typically when we'd be preparing beds for fall planting. Cool weather crops like lettuce, spinach, kale. Those all do wonderfully when planted in September for October harvest. It's also when we'd be thinking about bulbs for spring flowers. Tulips, daffodils, crocuses. They need to go in the ground before the first frost. But I want to address something unusual that I and several other gardeners have noticed over the past week or so. Our plants have been behaving strangely. Growth patterns are unusual. Some plants that should be dormant are showing unexpected activity. Flowering schedules are disrupted. Now, I'm not saying this is cause for alarm, but it is unusual. That is interesting. Do you think this might be related to the atmospheric phenomena we've been discussing this morning? It's possible. Plants are remarkably sensitive to environmental conditions. They respond to light, temperature, electromagnetic fields, all sorts of factors. If there have been unusual atmospheric conditions, it's very plausible that plants would react. What's interesting is that different species are reacting differently. Some seem stimulated, growing more vigorously than expected. Others seem stressed, showing signs similar to drought or temperature stress even though soil conditions are adequate. What would you recommend to gardeners who notice these unusual patterns in their own gardens? My recommendation is simply to observe and document. Keep notes on what you're seeing. If plants recover and return to normal patterns, wonderful. If the unusual behavior continues, those notes will be helpful for understanding what's happening. But don't over-intervene. Don't drastically change watering schedules or apply fertilizers or pesticides in reaction to these temporary changes. Let the plants stabilize naturally. And one more thing, several gardeners have mentioned that being in their gardens lately has felt different. They report feeling watched or observed, even though no one else is present. They describe a sense of awareness from the plants themselves, as though the garden has become conscious in some small way. Now, I'm a practical person. Plants are plants. But I mention this because if you experience these feelings, you're not alone. It's likely a psychological response to the general unease in the community right now. Gardens are supposed to be peaceful, comfortable places. When you're feeling anxious generally, that anxiety can manifest as discomfort even in familiar places. My advice is to continue enjoying your garden. These unusual patterns will pass. Plants are resilient. Gardens are resilient. And gardening is one of the most grounding, centering activities we can engage in, especially during uncertain times. So don't let temporary strangeness keep you from the comfort and satisfaction of working with your hands in the soil. That's wonderful advice, Patricia. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and for those reassuring words. My pleasure. Happy gardening, Clearwater Valley. That was Patricia Holmes with Fall Gardening Guidance. Great information as always. We'll take a brief break now and return with more Morning Valley news and updates. This is WVOS Channel 14, your window on the valley. Welcome back. The time is now 7:45 a.m. We have an update from the Clearwater Valley Office of Civil Preparedness. Deputy Director Torres has asked us to share the following information. The atmospheric phenomena discussed earlier this morning have intensified slightly, rather than diminishing as predicted. This is unusual but not concerning. However, out of an abundance of caution, the Office of Civil Preparedness is recommending that residents remain indoors as much as possible today. This is not a mandatory shelter-in-place order. This is simply a recommendation. If you must go outside for work or essential activities, you may do so. However, if your activities can be conducted indoors or postponed until tomorrow, that would be preferable. This recommendation is in effect until further notice, likely through this evening. Schools are continuing with the modified schedule announced earlier. Early dismissal remains in effect. Parents should pick up children promptly at the designated times. Children should proceed directly home and remain indoors for the rest of the day. Businesses may remain open at their discretion. However, employers are encouraged to allow employees to work from home if possible. Non-essential businesses may choose to close early. The Office of Civil Preparedness will provide updates throughout the day as conditions develop. Again, this is a precautionary recommendation, not a mandatory order. The primary goal is simply to minimize outdoor exposure while the atmospheric conditions stabilize. We expect conditions to improve significantly by tomorrow morning. Thank you for your cooperation. This concludes the update from the Office of Civil Preparedness. We'll continue with Morning Valley programming. However, given the current situation, we're adjusting our scheduled programming to focus on updates and information relevant to today's atmospheric conditions. Please stay tuned to WVOS Channel 14 for the latest information. We're here to serve Clearwater Valley and will keep you informed throughout the day. The time is now 8:00 a.m. We pause briefly for station identification, then we'll continue with updates and information. You're watching WVOS Channel 14. This is WVOS Channel 14, continuing our coverage of developing atmospheric conditions in Clearwater Valley. The time is 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, September 15th, 1987. We have Deputy Director Michael Torres joining us now via telephone from the Office of Civil Preparedness. Deputy Director Torres, thank you for taking time to speak with us. Thank you for having me. I know residents have questions, and we want to provide clear, factual information. Deputy Director, can you explain what's happening with these atmospheric conditions? Earlier, we were told they would diminish, but instead, they seem to be intensifying. That's correct. Our initial projections were based on historical data about similar atmospheric events. However, the current situation is developing in ways that don't match those historical patterns exactly. This doesn't mean the situation is dangerous. It simply means we're observing something unusual that requires careful monitoring. What exactly are residents seeing when they look at the sky? Reports vary, which is typical for atmospheric phenomena. Some residents describe unusual colors in the upper atmosphere, particularly purples and greens that aren't typically visible. Others report seeing patterns or geometric shapes. Some describe a sense of depth to the sky, as though they can see much farther into space than normal. These variations are all consistent with complex atmospheric refraction events. You mentioned geometric shapes. Can you elaborate on that? Certainly. When light passes through atmospheric layers with different densities and temperatures, it can create visual effects that our brains interpret as patterns or shapes. It's similar to how you might see faces in clouds or patterns in static. The visual information is ambiguous, and our pattern recognition systems try to make sense of it. Different people will interpret the same atmospheric conditions differently based on their individual perceptual processing. We've had several callers express concern about the dreams they experienced last night. Is there a connection to the atmospheric conditions? There is. Electromagnetic variations in the atmosphere can affect sleep patterns and dream intensity. The human brain is sensitive to electromagnetic fields. When those fields are disrupted, even slightly, sleep architecture can be altered. Dreams may be more vivid, more memorable, or more unusual in content. This is a documented effect and nothing to be concerned about. The dreams are still just dreams. They don't carry any special meaning or significance beyond what any dream might have. What about the recommendation to remain indoors? How long will that be in effect? We're monitoring conditions hourly. Our current projection is that the recommendation will remain in effect through this evening. By tomorrow morning, we expect conditions to have stabilized sufficiently that normal outdoor activities can resume. This is really just an abundance of caution. We're not detecting any harmful radiation or chemical elements in the atmosphere. We simply think it's wise to minimize exposure to these unusual electromagnetic conditions until we understand them better. Some residents have reported feeling anxious or unsettled today, even beyond the normal concern about unusual weather. Is this related? It's likely psychosomatic. When people know something unusual is occurring, even when they're told it's not dangerous, that knowledge creates anxiety. The anxiety then manifests as physical symptoms like tension, unease, difficulty concentrating. It's a completely normal stress response. The best remedy is to stay informed, but not to dwell excessively on the situation. Engage in normal indoor activities. Read a book. Watch television. Do puzzles with your family. Maintain routine as much as possible. The situation will resolve, and tomorrow will be a normal day. Thank you, Deputy Director Torres. That's very reassuring. We appreciate you taking time to speak with us. My pleasure. And I want to emphasize again for everyone watching, Clearwater Valley is safe. These atmospheric conditions are unusual but not dangerous. Follow the simple precautions we've outlined and everything will be fine. Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Director Torres. WVOS Channel 14 will continue monitoring the situation and providing updates throughout the day. We now return to our regular programming, already adjusted for today's circumstances. Stay with us. The time is 10:15 a.m. We're going to take a brief station break and then continue with educational programming suitable for students who are home today on the modified school schedule. Parents, we're pleased to offer several hours of educational content this morning and afternoon. This programming is appropriate for all ages and will help keep young minds engaged while schools complete their facility maintenance. Please stay tuned. Good morning, students. Welcome to Valley Learning, a special program brought to you by WVOS Channel 14 in partnership with Clearwater Valley Public Schools. Since you're home today, we've prepared some interesting educational content to keep you learning. Over the next hour, we'll explore topics in science, mathematics, and history. Let's begin with today's science lesson about the solar system. Our solar system is a fascinating place, containing 8 planets orbiting our sun. Let's start with the planets closest to the sun. Mercury is the smallest planet and the closest to the sun. Despite being closest, it's not the hottest planet. That distinction belongs to Venus, whose thick atmosphere traps heat. Earth, our home, is the 3rd planet. Mars, the red planet, is 4th. Beyond Mars, we find the gas giants. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, so large that all other planets could fit inside it. Saturn is famous for its beautiful rings made of ice and rock. Uranus rotates on its side, making it unique among the planets. Neptune, the farthest planet from the sun, is a cold, windy world. But our solar system doesn't end with Neptune. Beyond the planets, we find the Kuiper Belt, a region of icy objects and dwarf planets. And beyond that, there's the Oort cloud, a vast sphere of comets surrounding our entire solar system. The Oort cloud extends incredibly far from the sun, nearly halfway to the nearest star. Now, here's something interesting that scientists have been discussing recently. When we observe our solar system from Earth, we're seeing it from one specific perspective. But what if we could see it from above, looking down on the plane of the planet's orbits? From that perspective, we'd see all the planets lined up in a disk around the sun, each following its own circular or elliptical path. But space is three-dimensional, not two-dimensional. And sometimes objects exist in our solar system that we don't easily see from Earth's perspective. Objects that orbit in unusual ways or exist in regions we don't normally observe. Scientists use sophisticated instruments to detect these objects, searching for anything unusual or unexpected. For example, there are theories about a possible ninth planet, much farther out than Neptune. This hypothetical planet hasn't been directly observed, but some scientists believe it might exist based on the gravitational effects they see on other distant objects. If this planet exists, it would be very far away, very cold, and very difficult to see even with powerful telescopes. But what if there were objects even stranger? Objects that don't follow normal orbital patterns. Objects that aren't quite planets, but aren't quite anything else we've categorized? Space is vast, and we've only explored a tiny fraction of it. There's so much we don't know. Let's think about what it would be like to observe our solar system from very far away, from outside the Oort cloud, looking back toward the sun and its planets. From that distance, the sun would appear as just a bright star. The planets would be invisible. You'd see the general structure of the solar system, but not the details. Now imagine you're even farther away, looking at our entire galaxy. The Milky Way galaxy contains hundreds of billions of stars. Our sun is just one ordinary star among countless others. From that perspective, our entire solar system is less than a speck. It's invisible, insignificant, lost in the vast crowd of other star systems. And our galaxy itself is just one galaxy among billions of galaxies in the observable universe. Each galaxy contains billions or trillions of stars. Each star might have planets. The scale is almost incomprehensible to human minds. We evolved to understand distances we can walk, heights we can climb, quantities we can count. We didn't evolve to comprehend distances measured in light years or quantities measured in trillions. When you look up at the night sky, you're seeing light that traveled for years or centuries or millennia to reach your eyes. The stars you see might not even exist anymore. They might have died millions of years ago, but their light is still traveling through space, and it won't reach Earth for millions of years more. You're seeing the past, not the present. The night sky is a time machine showing you history, not current events, and what you can see is only a tiny fraction of what exists. Most of the universe is invisible to us. Dark matter, dark energy, phenomena we can't directly observe but know exist because of their effects on things we can see. The visible universe, everything we can detect with all our instruments and techniques, is perhaps only 5% of what's actually out there. The other 95% is unknown. We've named it dark matter and dark energy, but we don't understand it. We don't know what it is or how it works. We just know it's there. This is important to understand because it reminds us how limited our perspective is. We see a tiny slice of reality from one specific location in space and time, and we assume that what we see represents everything that exists. But that assumption is probably wrong. There's vastly more to reality than we can perceive or understand. Scientists have instruments that let us observe things our eyes can't see. Radio telescopes detect radio waves from space. X-ray telescopes see X-rays. Gravitational wave detectors sense ripples in space-time itself. Each new type of observation reveals phenomena we didn't know existed. Each time we look at the universe in a new way, we discover new things. So when something unusual appears in our sky, something that doesn't match our expectations, it's worth paying attention to. Not with fear, but with curiosity. The universe is stranger than we know, and probably stranger than we can know. Our understanding is always incomplete, always evolving. Let's pause here for a moment. We're going to take a brief break, and then we'll continue with our mathematics lesson. Remember, learning is about developing curiosity about the world around us. Keep asking questions. Keep wondering about how things work. That's how we expand our understanding. This is WVOS Channel 14. The time is 10:45 a.m. We'll return to Valley Learning in just a moment after this brief update. We have an update from the National Weather Service regarding the atmospheric conditions over Clearwater Valley. The conditions continue to intensify in ways that are unusual, but, according to the Weather Service, not dangerous. However, the recommendation to remain indoors has been upgraded from advisory to strongly recommended. This is still not a mandatory shelter-in-place order, but authorities are now strongly encouraging all residents to stay inside until further notice. If you absolutely must go outside, the Weather Service recommends the following precautions. First, limit your time outdoors to no more than 5 minutes. Second, do not look directly at the sky. Keep your gaze focused on the ground or on nearby objects at ground level. Third, if you begin to feel disoriented, dizzy, or experience unusual thoughts, return indoors immediately. These precautions are being issued out of an abundance of caution. There is no evidence of any harmful effects from the atmospheric conditions. However, the unusual electromagnetic environment may cause temporary discomfort or disorientation in sensitive individuals. By following these simple guidelines, you can avoid any such effects. Schools have extended their facility maintenance schedule. All students should remain home tomorrow, September 16th as well. Schools will reopen Thursday, September 17th, assuming atmospheric conditions have normalized by then. Parents will be notified if any further schedule changes become necessary. We'll continue to provide updates as information becomes available. Now we return to Valley Learning, already in progress. Welcome back to Valley Learning. Let's continue with our mathematics lesson. Today we're going to discuss patterns and sequences. Mathematics is fundamentally about patterns. We observe patterns in numbers, in shapes, in relationships between quantities. Understanding patterns helps us predict what comes next in a sequence and understand the rules governing the system we're observing. Let's start with a simple pattern. 2, 4, 6, 8. What comes next? Most of you would say 10, and you'd be correct. This is an arithmetic sequence where each number increases by 2. The pattern is consistent and predictable. Now let's try a more complex pattern. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. Do you recognize this sequence? Each number is the sum of the two numbers before it. 1 plus 1 equals 2. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 2 plus 3 equals 5. This is called the Fibonacci sequence, and it appears throughout nature. Flower petals, spiral shells, the branching of trees all follow this pattern. But what if we encounter a pattern that doesn't follow any rule we know? What if we observe a sequence where the next number seems random, but we suspect there's an underlying pattern we just can't see? This is what scientists face when studying complex systems. The pattern exists, but it's too complex for us to perceive directly. Let's think about another concept, infinity. Infinity isn't a number. It's an idea representing something without end. You can't count to infinity because there's always one more number. Infinity plus 1 is still infinity. Infinity minus 1 is still infinity. Infinity doesn't follow the normal rules of arithmetic, but there are different types of infinity. The set of all integers, 1, 2, 3, and so on forever, is infinite. But the set of all real numbers, including all decimals between each integer, is a larger infinity. This seems contradictory. How can one infinity be larger than another? But mathematicians have proven this is true. Some infinite sets are more infinite than others. Now let's think about space. Space appears to extend infinitely in all directions. But is it actually infinite, or does it just appear infinite from our limited perspective? Some models of the universe suggest space might be finite, but unbounded, like the surface of a sphere. If you travel in one direction long enough, you eventually return to where you started. The surface of a sphere has finite area but no edge. You could walk forever and never reach a boundary. Other models suggest space might truly be infinite, extending forever in all directions. In an infinite universe, everything that's possible must happen somewhere, simply because there's infinite space for it to happen in. There would be infinite copies of Earth, infinite versions of you, infinite variations of everything. But there are things mathematicians believe are impossible even in infinite space. Things that violate fundamental logical rules or physical laws. Infinity doesn't mean anything goes. It means that everything possible happens. But impossible things remain impossible. Unless our understanding of what's possible is wrong, unless the rules we think are fundamental aren't actually fundamental, unless reality operates differently than we assume. Let's consider one more mathematical concept: dimensions. We experience three spatial dimensions: length, width, and height. We can also think of time as a fourth dimension, but mathematics allows for any number of dimensions. Four-dimensional space, five-dimensional, six-dimensional, any number you choose. We can do calculations in these higher dimensional spaces even though we can't visualize them directly. Some theories in physics suggest that additional spatial dimensions exist but are folded up too small for us to perceive, or that parallel universes might exist in higher dimensional space, separate from ours but nearby in dimensions we can't access. These ideas are mathematically consistent even though they seem bizarre. The point is that reality might be far stranger than what we can directly perceive. Mathematics gives us tools to explore possibilities beyond our sensory experience, and sometimes those mathematical explorations suggest things about reality that seem impossible until we find ways to observe them directly. This has been your Valley Learning Mathematics lesson. We're going to take a brief break now, and then we'll continue with history. Remember, mathematics isn't just about memorizing formulas. It's about understanding the deep patterns that govern our universe. Keep exploring those patterns and you'll develop powerful tools for understanding reality. The time is 11:30 a.m. We pause for station identification. This is WVOS Channel 14, serving Clearwater Valley. We'll continue Valley Learning in just a moment. We have another update from the Office of Civil Preparedness. Deputy Director Torres has asked us to share the following information with all residents. The atmospheric conditions have now spread beyond the immediate Clearwater Valley area. Neighboring counties are reporting similar phenomena. This is consistent with the atmospheric nature of the event and is not cause for additional concern. However, because the affected area has expanded, regional coordination is now in effect. The Office of Civil Preparedness is working with state and federal agencies to monitor the situation. All residents should continue following the precautions previously outlined. Remain indoors, avoid looking at the sky if you must go outside, and report any unusual symptoms to local health authorities. Some residents have contacted the office asking whether they should evacuate the area. The answer is no. There is no need for evacuation. The atmospheric conditions are not dangerous. Evacuating would expose you to the conditions while traveling and would accomplish nothing beneficial. The safest place for everyone is in their own homes. We understand that these ongoing precautions may feel concerning. We want to assure everyone that authorities have the situation under control. The phenomena being observed are unusual, but are being monitored by qualified scientists and emergency personnel. Your safety is our top priority. Please remain calm, stay informed, and follow the guidelines we've provided. We'll continue to provide updates as the situation develops. This concludes the current update from the Office of Civil Preparedness. Thank you. WVOS Channel 14 will continue bringing you updates throughout the day. We're here to serve Clearwater Valley. Now let's return to Valley Learning for today's history lesson. Welcome back, students. It's time for our history lesson. Today we're going to discuss how humans have understood their place in the universe throughout history. This is a topic that connects history, science, philosophy, and culture. For most of human history, people believed Earth was the center of the universe. This made intuitive sense. When you stand on Earth and look up at the sky, you see the sun, moon, and stars apparently moving around you. It looks like everything revolves around Earth. This geocentric model dominated human thinking for thousands of years. Ancient Greek astronomers developed sophisticated models of this Earth-centered universe. They calculated the movements of planets and could predict eclipses with reasonable accuracy. Their models were mathematically complex but seemed to match observations. But some observers noticed problems. The planets sometimes appeared to move backward in the sky, something the simple geocentric model couldn't explain. Astronomers added epicycles, circles within circles, to account for these retrograde motions. The models became increasingly complicated. Then in the 16th century, Nicholas Copernicus proposed a heliocentric model with the sun at the center and Earth as just another planet orbiting the sun. This model was simpler and explained planetary motions more elegantly, but it challenged fundamental assumptions about humanity's place in the cosmos. If Earth wasn't the center of everything, what did that mean for humanity? Were we special or just another part of the universe? This question created both scientific and philosophical upheaval. The Catholic Church initially rejected heliocentrism because it seemed to diminish humanity's importance. Galileo Galilei used telescopes to observe the heavens and found evidence supporting the heliocentric model. He saw moons orbiting Jupiter, proving that not everything orbited Earth. He saw phases of Venus, consistent with Venus orbiting the Sun. The evidence accumulated. Eventually, heliocentrism was accepted. Earth orbited the Sun. We weren't the center of everything. But at least we were still in the center of the solar system, right? The Sun was the center, and we orbited the Sun, so we were still cosmically important. But then we discovered that our Sun is just one ordinary star among hundreds of billions of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. We're not at the galaxy's center. We're in an outer spiral arm, a fairly insignificant location. And then we discovered that our galaxy is just one among billions of galaxies in the observable universe. Each step in our understanding moved us further from the center, made us less special, less significant cosmically. This pattern is called the Copernican principle. We don't occupy a special place in the universe. We're not at the center. We're not unique. Earth is an ordinary planet orbiting an ordinary star in an ordinary galaxy. This principle has been confirmed again and again as our understanding expanded. But there's another implication of the Copernican principle. If we're not special cosmically, then we should expect to find life elsewhere in the universe. With billions of stars in each of billions of galaxies, surely Earth can't be the only planet with life. The universe is too big for us to be alone. So where is everyone? This question is called the Fermi paradox. If life should be common in the universe, why haven't we detected any signs of it? Why haven't we received radio signals from other civilizations? Why haven't we seen evidence of other intelligent species? There are many proposed solutions to the Fermi paradox. Maybe life is rare. Maybe intelligent life is even rarer. Maybe civilizations destroy themselves before they can spread through space. Maybe other civilizations are too far away for us to detect them. Maybe they're hiding intentionally. Maybe they're here, but we don't recognize them. Or maybe we're truly alone. Maybe Earth is special after all, not because we're at the center of the universe, but because we're the only place where life developed. This seems unlikely given the size of the universe, but it's possible. There's another possibility that's less comforting. Maybe other civilizations exist, but they're so different from us that we can't comprehend them. Maybe intelligence can take forms we don't recognize as intelligence. Maybe consciousness exists in ways we can't perceive. Maybe we're surrounded by life and intelligence but can't detect it because we don't know what to look for. Imagine an ant trying to understand human civilization. The ant might sense that something is going on, might detect our structures and activities, but couldn't possibly comprehend what humans are or what we're doing. From the ant's perspective, humans might as well be natural forces like wind or rain. The ant lacks the cognitive capacity to understand us. Now imagine something as far beyond human intelligence as humans are beyond ants. We might sense its presence, might detect effects of its activities, but couldn't possibly comprehend what it is or what it's doing. We'd lack the cognitive capacity to understand it. It wouldn't be malevolent or benevolent toward us because we wouldn't register as significant enough to have opinions about. We'd be like ants at its feet, too small to notice or care about. This possibility is humbling and frightening. We like to think of ourselves as intelligent, capable of understanding reality if we just gather enough information. But what if intelligence has limits? What if there are truths about the universe that are beyond human cognitive capacity, just as calculus is beyond ant cognitive capacity? History shows us that our understanding of our place in the universe has changed dramatically over time. Each change made us less central, less special, less significant. Is this pattern complete, or will we discover we're even less significant than we currently believe? These are deep questions that connect history to philosophy to science. They're worth thinking about, worth discussing. But remember, even if we're cosmically insignificant, we're still significant to each other. Human life, human consciousness, human experience. These are precious even if they're rare or even unique in the universe. Our significance doesn't have to be cosmic to be real. This concludes today's Valley Learning History lesson. We're going to take a break now. When we return, we'll have more educational programming to keep you engaged this afternoon. This is WVOS Channel 14, serving Clearwater Valley. The time is 12:15 p.m. We have an urgent update from the Office of Civil Preparedness. All residents must now remain indoors until further notice. This is no longer a recommendation. This is a mandatory shelter-in-place order, effective immediately. Do not go outside for any reason. If you are currently outside, return to the nearest indoor location immediately. Do not look at the sky. Emergency services remain operational. If you have a medical emergency, call 911. Emergency personnel will respond. But do not leave your home unless you are instructed to do so by authorities. More information will be provided as it becomes available. Please remain calm. Stay indoors. Stay informed. This is WVOS Channel 14. We'll continue broadcasting updates and emergency information. Please stay tuned. This is WVOS Channel 14. The time is 1:45 p.m., September 15th, 1987. We continue our emergency broadcasting in cooperation with the Clearwater Valley Office of Civil Preparedness. The mandatory shelter-in-place order remains in effect. All residents must remain indoors. We repeat, do not go outside. Do not look at the sky if you can see it through windows. Close all curtains and blinds. We're going to continue with informational programming to help pass the time while we wait for conditions to improve. We understand this situation is stressful. We understand you have questions. Authorities are working to provide answers as quickly as possible. In the meantime, please stay calm, stay inside, and stay tuned to this station for updates. We're pleased to welcome Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a psychologist who works with the Clearwater Valley Department of Health. Dr. Mitchell is joining us by telephone to discuss how residents can manage stress and anxiety during this unusual situation. Dr. Mitchell, thank you for speaking with us. Thank you for having me. I know this is a difficult day for many people in our community. Dr. Mitchell, what would you say to residents who are feeling anxious or frightened right now? First, I want to validate those feelings. Anxiety in response to an uncertain situation is completely normal. Your body is responding appropriately to an unusual circumstance. So don't judge yourself for feeling anxious. Accept the feeling and know that it's a normal part of your stress response system. Second, focus on what you can control. You can't control the atmospheric conditions. You can't control how long the situation will last. But you can control how you respond. You can choose to engage in calming activities. You can choose to limit how much you dwell on the uncertainty. You can choose to support family members who may be struggling more than you are. What are some specific calming activities you'd recommend? Deep breathing is remarkably effective. When you're anxious, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid, which actually increases anxiety. If you deliberately slow your breathing, taking deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system and begin to calm down. It sounds simple, but it works. Physical activity can also help, even indoors. Do some stretching, walk around your house, do simple exercises. Physical movement helps process stress hormones and can improve your mood significantly. Distraction is useful too. Read a book, do a puzzle, play a board game with family, watch television. The goal is to give your mind something to focus on besides the situation. This isn't denial or avoidance, it's strategic attention management. What about children? How can parents help children cope with the stress of being confined indoors? Children pick up on parental anxiety very quickly, so the most important thing parents can do is manage their own stress first. If you're calm, your children are more likely to be calm. If you're visibly anxious, your children will become anxious too, even if they don't fully understand the situation. Be honest with children, but age appropriate. You can say that there's unusual weather happening and authorities want everyone to stay inside to be safe. You don't need to provide details that might frighten them. Keep explanations simple and reassuring. Maintain routine as much as possible. If it's normally lunchtime, have lunch. If it's normally quiet time, have quiet time. Routine provides security, especially for younger children. Structure helps everyone feel more in control. Some residents have reported experiencing unusual thoughts or perceptions today. Should people be concerned about this? We've heard reports of this, and it's likely related to a combination of factors. The stress of the situation can cause intrusive thoughts. The electromagnetic conditions may be affecting some people's neurological function in minor ways. Lack of sleep from last night may be contributing. Suggestibility plays a role too. When people hear that others are experiencing unusual thoughts, they become more attentive to their own mental processes and may notice things they'd normally filter out. If you're experiencing unusual thoughts, the most important thing is to not engage with them. Don't analyze them. Don't try to find meaning in them. Recognize them as a temporary stress response and redirect your attention to something concrete and present. Focus on physical sensations. Touch objects around you. Notice temperature, texture, weight. This grounds you in immediate physical reality and helps intrusive thoughts pass. What if someone's anxiety becomes overwhelming? What if they feel they can't cope? If anxiety becomes severe, it's important to reach out for help. Call a family member or friend. Talk to someone. Connection helps. If you're in crisis, emergency mental health services are still available. You can call the crisis hotline. The number's on your screen now. Trained counselors are available to talk you through difficult moments. I also want to emphasize that this situation is temporary. Conditions will improve. Life will return to normal. When you're in the middle of a stressful situation, it can feel like it will last forever. But it won't. Tomorrow will be better. Thursday will be better. This will pass. That's very reassuring, Dr. Mitchell. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us and for providing this valuable guidance. My pleasure. Take care of yourselves, Clearwater Valley. We'll get through this together. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. The crisis hotline number is on your screen. If you're struggling, please reach out. Help is available. WVOS Channel 14 will continue with informational programming. Please stay with us. The time is 2:20 p.m. We pause for a brief message from the Office of Civil Preparedness, then we'll continue with afternoon programming. This is Director Margaret Chen from the Office of Civil Preparedness. I want to provide an update on the current situation and address some questions we've been receiving from residents. First, regarding the shelter-in-place order. This order will remain in effect at least through tonight and likely through tomorrow. We don't have an exact timeline for when it will be lifted, but we're monitoring conditions continuously and will inform you as soon as it's safe to resume normal activities. Second, regarding the nature of the atmospheric conditions. We're working with scientists from multiple agencies to understand exactly what we're observing. What I can tell you is that we're seeing electromagnetic phenomena on a scale that's unprecedented in recorded history. The phenomena appear to be intensifying rather than diminishing. We don't yet know why this is happening or how long it will continue. Third, I want to address the reports of unusual experiences some residents are having. These experiences are real. They're not hallucinations or imagination. The electromagnetic conditions are affecting human neurology in ways we're still working to understand. If you're experiencing unusual perceptions, unusual thoughts, or sensory anomalies, please understand that this is a temporary effect of the current conditions. These experiences will resolve when the electromagnetic interference subsides. However, I want to stress this clearly. Do not attempt to interpret these experiences as meaningful. Do not attempt to find patterns or messages in them. The human brain tries to make sense of unusual input by creating narratives. But in this case, the experiences are simply noise, interference in your normal sensory and cognitive processing. Trying to find meaning in them will only increase anxiety and confusion. Fourth, some residents have asked whether they should be documenting what they're experiencing. Our recommendation is no. Do not take photographs or videos of the sky. Do not record your experiences in detail. Do not encourage others to share their experiences. Documentation will only spread anxiety and create false patterns that don't exist. Focus on staying calm and staying safe. The documentation can happen later if it's needed. Finally, I want to be direct with you. This situation is unusual. It's beyond what any of us have experienced before. We don't have perfect information. We're learning as we go. But I can assure you that every available resource is being directed toward understanding and managing this situation. Scientists are studying the phenomena, emergency personnel are on standby, communication networks are being maintained. We're doing everything possible to keep you safe and informed. Please continue following the guidelines we've provided. Stay indoors, keep curtains closed, engage in normal activities as much as possible, avoid dwelling on the situation, take care of your physical and mental health, support your family and neighbors. We will get through this. This is Director Margaret Chen. Thank you for your cooperation and patience. Thank you, Director Chen. WVOS Channel 14 appreciates the Office of Civil Preparedness, keeping us informed. We know these updates can feel concerning, but having accurate information is important. Please stay tuned. We'll continue broadcasting throughout the day and night for as long as necessary. The time is now 3 p.m. For residents who would like a break from news and updates, we're going to air a classic film. Today's movie is The Day the Earth Stood Still from 1951. This science fiction classic tells the story of an alien visitor who arrives on Earth with an important message for humanity. The film is appropriate for all ages and runs 92 minutes. We'll begin the film in just a moment, but first, another brief update. The National Weather Service has issued a revised statement regarding the atmospheric phenomena. Current observations indicate that the phenomena have now been detected across the entire continental United States. This is not cause for alarm. It simply confirms that we're observing an atmospheric event of national, possibly global scope. All affected areas are implementing appropriate safety protocols. Residents everywhere are being asked to remain indoors and avoid direct observation of the sky. International reports are still being compiled, but preliminary data suggest the phenomena may be visible from locations worldwide. Scientists are conferring across international boundaries to pool observations and develop comprehensive understanding of what's occurring. This level of scientific cooperation is unprecedented and reflects the unusual nature of the event. WVOS Channel 14 will continue to serve Clearwater Valley throughout this situation. We're committed to keeping you informed and providing programming to help you remain calm and occupied. We now begin our film presentation. We hope you enjoy The Day the Earth Stood Still. The film plays for its full duration. The story follows Klaatu, an alien who lands his flying saucer in Washington, D.C., to deliver a message to Earth's leaders. He comes in peace but brings a warning. If humanity continues its violent ways and begins to threaten other worlds with atomic weapons, his people will be forced to eliminate Earth as a threat. The film explores themes of fear of the unknown, the power of violence, and humanity's place in a larger cosmic community. The movie's message seems particularly relevant today. The scenes of people panicking in response to something they don't understand. The military's immediate hostile response to the unknown. The difficulty of communicating across vast differences in perspective and understanding. All of this mirrors, in fiction, elements of what Clearwater Valley is experiencing in reality. As the film concludes, Klaatu delivers his final message. The people of Earth must choose peace or face destruction. He departs, leaving humanity to decide its own fate. The film ends ambiguously, with no clear indication of what choice humanity will make. That was the day the Earth stood still. WVOS Channel 14 hopes you enjoyed this classic film. The time is now 4:35 p.m. We have another update from the Office of Civil Preparedness. This is Deputy Director Michael Torres. I'm providing a brief status update. The shelter-in-place order remains in effect. All residents must continue to stay indoors. We're now asking that residents also avoid looking out windows. Close all curtains and blinds. Stay in interior rooms if possible. Rooms without windows are preferable to rooms with windows. We're also issuing new guidelines regarding electronic devices. Some residents have reported that televisions, radios, and other electronic equipment are behaving unusually. Screens may display visual distortions. Audio may contain unusual sounds. This is due to electromagnetic interference from the atmospheric conditions. These distortions are not harmful to you or to your equipment. However, we ask that you avoid staring at screens if they're displaying unusual patterns. Brief exposure is fine, but extended viewing of distorted images may cause discomfort or disorientation. If your television is showing significant distortion, you may choose to turn it off or switch to audio-only mode, listening without watching. Similarly, some people are reporting unusual sounds from their radios or through their televisions. These sounds are electromagnetic interference manifesting as audio artifacts. They're not messages, they're not signals, they're noise. Please don't attempt to interpret or record these sounds. One more item. As evening approaches, we want to address what residents should expect tonight. The atmospheric phenomena will likely be more intense after dark. If you looked at the sky last night and found it unsettling, tonight will be significantly more so. We cannot stress this enough. Do not look outside tonight. Keep all curtains and blinds fully closed. Do not open them even briefly. The visual phenomena visible after dark may cause significant psychological distress if observed directly. Some of you may be thinking that we're overreacting, that looking at unusual lights in the sky can't be that disturbing. We understand that skepticism, but please trust us on this. The phenomena you would see are beyond what your visual processing system is designed to handle. Brief glimpses might seem fascinating, but extended viewing will affect you in ways that are difficult to reverse. We're working to protect you. Please cooperate with these guidelines. Stay indoors. Stay away from windows. Maintain normal evening routines as much as possible. We'll provide updates through the night. This is Deputy Director Torres. Stay safe, Clearwater Valley. Thank you, Deputy Director Torres. This is WVOS Channel 14. We'll continue broadcasting throughout the evening and overnight. We understand the situation is becoming more restrictive, and we appreciate your patience and cooperation. We're here to serve you, to keep you informed, and to help you through this challenging time. The time is 5 p.m. As evening approaches, we want to prepare you for what the next several hours may bring. We'll be adjusting our programming to focus on content that's calming and non-visual. We'll provide audio programming that you can listen to without needing to watch the screen. This will allow you to remain informed and occupied while following the guideline to minimize screen viewing as distortions increase. But first, we have a special message recorded earlier today by Pastor David Williams of First Community Church. Pastor Williams asked to speak to the community, and we're pleased to share his message now. Good evening, Clearwater Valley. This is Pastor David Williams. I'm recording this message from my study at First Community Church. Like all of you, I'm sheltering in place, following the guidelines provided by authorities. And like many of you, I'm processing a range of emotions about our current situation. Fear, confusion, concern for loved ones, uncertainty about the future. These are all natural responses to extraordinary circumstances. I want to share a few thoughts from a spiritual perspective, for those who may find such reflections helpful. First, I want to acknowledge that what we're experiencing challenges some of our fundamental assumptions about reality. We thought we understood the world we lived in. We thought we knew what was possible and what wasn't. Events like today force us to reconsider those assumptions. This can be deeply unsettling. Our sense of security depends partly on feeling that we understand our environment, that we can predict what's likely to happen, that reality follows consistent rules. When something occurs that violates those expectations, we feel untethered, adrift in a world that suddenly seems alien and unpredictable. From a spiritual perspective, I'd offer this thought. Perhaps we were never as secure in our understanding as we believed. Perhaps the world was always stranger, more mysterious, more beyond our comprehension than we wanted to acknowledge. Perhaps today is simply making visible what was always true. We understand less than we think we do, and reality is far larger than our models of it. This isn't meant to increase fear. If anything, it might be oddly liberating. If we don't fully understand the world, then we're free to approach it with humility and openness, rather than the burden of thinking we should have everything figured out. Uncertainty can be an invitation to wonder, rather than a source of terror. Second, I want to speak about human significance. One of the unsettling aspects of today's events is the sense of powerlessness they create. We can't control what's happening. We can't even fully understand it. We're being asked to shelter in place, to avoid looking at our own sky, to accept restrictions on our normal freedom of movement. This highlights how limited our control actually is. From a cosmic perspective, this shouldn't be surprising. We're small creatures on a small planet in an unimaginably vast universe. Our control was always limited. Our significance was always local rather than cosmic. But we don't usually have to confront this fact so directly. Today we're confronting it. Does this mean we don't matter? I don't believe so. Significance isn't measured by cosmic scale. It's measured by meaning, by relationship, by love, by consciousness, by the depth of experience. A single human life, brief and limited as it may be cosmically, contains more meaning than 1,000,000,000 miles of empty space. Consciousness, awareness, the ability to wonder and love and suffer and hope, these are significant even if they're rare, even if they're temporary, even if they're small. So while today may be humbling, while it may force us to reconsider our place in the universe, it doesn't negate your value. You matter. Your experience matters. The people you love matter. The community we've built together matters. Not because we're cosmically central or powerful, but because we're conscious beings capable of creating meaning in a universe that doesn't inherently provide it. Third, I want to talk about community. We're all isolated in our homes right now, separated from physical contact with one another, but we're still connected. We're sharing this experience. We're all listening to the same broadcasts, following the same guidelines, processing the same uncertainties. This shared experience is itself a form of community. Look after each other as best you can from a distance. Check on neighbors by phone. Stay connected with family. Support those who are struggling more than you are. Community is how humans endure difficult circumstances. We're stronger together than apart, even when together means connected rather than physically present. Finally, I want to offer some practical spiritual advice for getting through tonight and tomorrow, and however long this situation continues. Prayer or meditation, whatever form that takes for you, can be helpful. Not because it changes external circumstances, but because it centers your mind, creates calm, connects you to something beyond immediate anxiety. Gratitude practice can also help. Even in difficult circumstances, there are things to be grateful for. You have shelter. You likely have food and water. You have access to information. You're connected to community through broadcasts like this. Focusing on what you have rather than what you lack shifts your mental state in useful ways. And finally, remember that this is temporary. I don't know how long it will last. It might be tomorrow, or it might be longer. But it will end. Conditions will normalize. Life will resume. This moment, as difficult as it is, will pass. Hold on to that knowledge when anxiety rises. This will pass. May you find peace in the midst of uncertainty. May you find strength in community. May you find meaning even when understanding eludes us. Take care of yourselves and each other. This is Pastor David Williams. Good evening, Clearwater Valley. Thank you, Pastor Williams, for that thoughtful message. We hope it provided some comfort and perspective to residents who are struggling with today's events. WVOS Channel 14 is here to serve the entire community, providing information, programming, and connection during this challenging time. The time is now 5:30 p.m. As we move into evening, we're going to transition to primarily audio programming. We'll continue providing updates and information, but we encourage you to listen rather than watch, especially as screen distortions may increase. We'll be broadcasting music, readings, and other audio content to help you pass the evening hours. But first, we have one more update from the National Weather Service regarding tonight's expected conditions. Attention all residents in affected areas. The National Weather Service, in coordination with federal emergency management agencies, is issuing the following advisory for tonight, September 15th through early morning September 16th. Atmospheric phenomena will intensify significantly after sunset. Visual phenomena will be extreme. Do not look outside under any circumstances. Keep all windows covered with opaque materials. Curtains may not be sufficient. Use blankets, cardboard, or other materials to ensure no light from outside enters your living spaces. Audio phenomena may also intensify. You may hear unusual sounds from outside. These sounds are atmospheric in origin and pose no direct threat. However, they may be disturbing. We recommend keeping ambient noise inside your home. Play music or television at moderate volume to mask external sounds. Some individuals may experience increased sensory anomalies tonight. Visual distortions, auditory hallucinations, tactile sensations that seem unusual. These are effects of the electromagnetic conditions on human neurology. They're temporary and will resolve when conditions normalize. Do not be alarmed by these experiences. They're not dangerous, merely uncomfortable. If you're caring for children, be prepared for them to have difficulty sleeping. The electromagnetic conditions may interfere with normal sleep patterns. It's acceptable to allow children to stay up later than usual or to sleep in unusual locations if that provides them comfort. Normal sleep schedules can resume when conditions improve. Finally, the emergency services remain operational throughout the night. If you have a genuine emergency, call 911. However, please reserve emergency calls for true emergencies. Discomfort from the situation is not an emergency. Anxiety is not an emergency. Save emergency services for medical crises or immediate safety threats. This advisory is in effect through sunrise tomorrow, approximately 6:45 a.m. We'll provide updated information as it becomes available. This is the National Weather Service. Stay safe and stay indoors. Thank you. This is WVOS Channel 14. The time is 5:45 p.m. The sun will set in approximately 1 hour. We're going to begin our evening audio programming now. We'll start with classical music selections, then move to readings from classic literature. Updates will be provided at regular intervals. We encourage you to turn down your screen brightness or turn off your television and simply listen. Remember, you're not alone. Everyone in Clearwater Valley, everyone in the region, Possibly everyone across the nation and the world is going through this same experience. We're connected even though we're physically separated. Stay strong, stay calm. We'll get through this together. This is WVOS Channel 14, serving Clearwater Valley. This is WVOS Channel 14. The time is 8:30 p.m., September 15th, 1987. We continue our emergency broadcasting. The shelter-in-place order remains in effect. All residents must stay indoors with windows covered. Do not look outside. We're now broadcasting primarily audio content. You may listen without watching the screen. We'll continue through the night for as long as necessary. The sun set approximately 90 minutes ago. We've received reports from across Clearwater Valley and neighboring areas about the intensity of the atmospheric phenomena after dark. These reports confirm that the visual phenomena are indeed more extreme than last night. We want to emphasize again, do not attempt to observe these phenomena. Do not open curtains or blinds. Do not go to windows. The effects on observers can be significant and lasting. We're going to continue with classical music for the next hour. This will provide a calming atmosphere and help mask any unusual sounds you may hear from outside. Remember, external sounds are atmospheric in origin. They're not indicative of any immediate threat. They're simply manifestations of the electromagnetic conditions. Try to focus on the music rather than on external noises. We have an update from the Office of Civil Preparedness that we'll share, then we'll return to music programming. This is Director Margaret Chen. I'm speaking to you from the Emergency Operations Center, where staff have been monitoring the situation continuously since this morning. I want to provide an honest assessment of where we are and what we know. First, the atmospheric phenomena are not diminishing. They're intensifying. We initially believed this would be a brief event, lasting hours rather than days. Current projections suggest the phenomena may continue for an extended period. We're now planning for the possibility that the shelter-in-place order may remain in effect for several days, possibly longer. Second, the phenomena are global in scope. Every nation on Earth is reporting similar observations. This is occurring everywhere simultaneously. International scientific cooperation is underway, but I must be candid with you. We don't yet understand what's causing these phenomena. We have observations, measurements, and data, but we don't have explanations that fully account for what we're seeing. Third, the effects on human perception and cognition are more widespread than initially indicated. Most people in affected areas are experiencing some degree of sensory anomalies. These anomalies vary by individual but commonly include visual distortions, auditory phenomena, unusual thoughts or mental states, and altered perception of time. These effects are temporary and resolve when electromagnetic exposure is minimized. This is why we're asking you to stay away from windows and to limit screen time. Fourth, there have been no fatalities directly attributed to the atmospheric conditions. People who have observed the phenomena, even those who looked at the sky for extended periods, have not been physically harmed. However, the psychological impact can be severe. Some observers have required psychiatric intervention. Some have experienced lasting changes in their mental state that may take time to resolve. This is why our warnings are so emphatic. The danger is not physical, it's psychological and perceptual. I want to address the fear I know many of you are feeling. This situation is frightening because it's outside our normal frame of reference. We don't have historical precedent for this. We don't have standard protocols. We're developing our response as the situation unfolds. That uncertainty is deeply uncomfortable, and I acknowledge that. But I want to assure you of several things. Infrastructure is holding, power grids are functioning, water systems are operational, communication networks are working, emergency services are available, food supply chains are intact. The phenomena are affecting our perception and our psychology, but they're not destroying our physical systems. Society is still functioning. We're still organized. We're still capable of taking care of each other. What I need from you is patience and trust. Trust that authorities are working in your best interest. Trust that scientists are pursuing understanding as rapidly as possible. Trust that this situation, unprecedented as it is, will eventually resolve. And have patience with the restrictions and guidelines. They're not arbitrary. They're designed to minimize psychological harm while we navigate this situation. One more thing I want to mention. Some of you may be wondering whether you should try to leave the area to evacuate to somewhere that might be less affected. I strongly advise against this. First, the phenomena are global. There's nowhere to evacuate to. Second, travel would expose you to the phenomena more than sheltering in place. Your home is your safest location. Stay where you are. Finally, I want to acknowledge the question many of you are probably asking but not saying aloud. What if this doesn't end? What if this is permanent? I understand that fear. The honest answer is, we don't know. But I choose to believe this is temporary. I choose to believe we'll adapt and understand and eventually return to something resembling normalcy. I encourage you to hold on to that belief as well. Hope is a choice we make, not a guarantee we receive. This is Director Margaret Chen. Stay safe, Clearwater Valley. We're all in this together. Thank you, Director Chen. That was an honest and sobering assessment of our situation. We appreciate Director Chen's candor. WVOS Channel 14 will continue serving this community through whatever comes. We're committed to staying on the air, providing information and connection. The time is now 9 p.m. We're going to continue with music programming. Coming up, we have a selection from Mozart's Requiem, followed by pieces from Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms. Let the music provide some peace in these uncertain hours. The music plays for the next hour. Mozart's Requiem, written as his final composition, carries appropriate gravitas for the moment. The Latin text speaks of death, judgment, and seeking mercy from powers beyond human control. The music is beautiful but somber, fitting for a community facing the unknown. Bach's compositions follow, mathematical precision in musical form, finding order in complexity. Then Beethoven, whose later works were composed in complete deafness, creating beauty he could never hear except in his mind. Finally, Brahms, whose music often carries melancholic acceptance of life's difficulties. The music continues uninterrupted for 60 minutes. No announcements, no updates, just the calm flow of classical composition, a reminder of human creativity and persistence across centuries. This is WVOS Channel 14. The time is 10 p.m. We pause our music programming for an update, then we'll continue with readings from classic literature. We have Deputy Director Michael Torres with important information. This is Deputy Director Torres. I'm providing a status update for 10 p.m. The shelter-in-place order continues. All previous guidelines remain in effect. We have some additional information to share based on reports we've been receiving throughout the evening. First, regarding the sounds many residents are hearing. We're receiving consistent descriptions of a low-frequency hum or vibration, punctuated by higher-pitched tones that seem to follow irregular patterns. Some people describe these sounds as almost musical, though disturbing rather than pleasant. Others describe them as mechanical or organic. These varying descriptions are all of the same phenomena. The sounds are real, they're external, and they're related to the atmospheric conditions. We ask that you not attempt to record these sounds. Electronic recording equipment may produce distorted results that are more disturbing than the sounds themselves. Simply acknowledge that you hear them and redirect your attention to other things. The sounds will persist as long as the atmospheric conditions persist. They're not getting louder or closer. They're simply present. Second, regarding visual phenomena visible through windows despite closed curtains. Some residents report seeing light patterns or flashes that penetrate curtains and blinds. If you're seeing this, add additional layers of material to your windows. Use blankets, towels, or clothing to block any gaps. Complete darkness is preferable to dim light that allows glimpses of outside phenomena. Third, we're aware that some residents are experiencing difficulty with time perception. Hours may seem to pass more quickly or more slowly than the clock indicates. Some people report feeling that time is nonlinear, that past and future are somehow present simultaneously with the current moment. These are known effects of the electromagnetic conditions on the brain's temporal processing systems. Your clocks are correct. Time is passing normally. Your perception of time is what's altered. This is temporary and will resolve. Fourth, a number of residents have reported vivid memories or experiences that seem like memories but can't be real. Memories of events that didn't happen or happened differently than remembered. Memories that seem to belong to other people. Memories from perspectives you couldn't have had. These are confabulations. False memories created by your brain under stress and electromagnetic interference. They're not real. Don't act on them. Don't trust them. Focus on what you know to be true based on consistent, verifiable information. Fifth, some people are reporting a sense of presence, a feeling of being watched or of not being alone even when they're the only person in a room. This is a common response to sustained anxiety and unusual sensory input. There is no one else present. There is nothing watching you. This is your mind's pattern recognition system creating meaning from ambiguous stimuli. Acknowledge the feeling and continue with your activities. It will pass. We understand these experiences are unsettling. We understand that explanations like electromagnetic interference don't make the experiences less real or less disturbing. But understanding that these experiences are artifacts of the conditions rather than indications of external threats may help you manage your response to them. You're safe. You're experiencing unusual perceptual and cognitive phenomena, but you're not in immediate danger. Continue following the guidelines. Stay indoors. Stay away from windows. Minimize screen time. Engage in calming activities. Maintain communication with others. We'll provide another update at midnight. This is Deputy Director Torres. Thank you, Deputy Director Torres. That information about the various phenomena people are experiencing is helpful. If you're having these experiences, you're not alone. Others throughout the community, throughout the region, throughout the world are experiencing similar effects. This is the electromagnetic conditions affecting human neurology on a massive scale. The experiences are real but temporary. They will resolve. WVOS Channel 14 will now continue with readings from classic literature. We've selected passages that we hope will provide comfort, distraction, and connection to human creativity across time. We'll begin with excerpts from Thoreau's Walden, reflecting on solitude and nature, then move to passages from other American and British authors. The readings begin with Thoreau. His voice, or rather the narrator's interpretation of his written voice, speaks of living deliberately, of simplifying life, of finding meaning in immediate experience rather than in accumulated possessions or social status. His time alone in the woods at Walden Pond was a chosen solitude, a retreat from society to better understand both nature and self. His words carry particular resonance tonight as Clearwater Valley residents sit in imposed solitude, not by choice but by necessity. The reading continues with passages about observing nature, about the changing seasons, about the deep time of the pond and the forest. Thoreau's observations remind listeners that humans are part of nature, not separate from it, that natural processes continue regardless of human understanding or participation. There's something comforting in this reminder of continuity, of cycles that preceded human civilization and will continue beyond it. Next come readings from Whitman's Leaves of Grass, celebrating consciousness and experience, the miracle of being alive and aware. Then Dickinson's poems about immortality and nature and the inner life. Then excerpts from Emerson's essays about self-reliance and the relationship between individual and cosmos. The American transcendentalists believed in the inherent goodness of nature and humanity, in the ability of individuals to transcend physical limitations through spiritual insight. Their optimism may seem naive in the current circumstances, but there's value in their insistence that meaning can be found even in difficult conditions, that consciousness itself is valuable regardless of external circumstances. The readings shift to British authors. Wordsworth's poetry about memory and nature. Tennyson's verses about endurance and faith in the face of loss. Excerpts from Bronte, novels about characters persisting through isolation and hardship. Passages from Dickens about community and human resilience. The readings continue for 90 minutes, voices from the past speaking to the present, reminding listeners of the long tradition of humans facing uncertainty and finding ways to endure, to create meaning, to support each other through difficulty. This is WVOS Channel 14. The time is now 11:30 p.m. We'll take a brief pause in our readings for a midnight update from the Office of Civil Preparedness. Then we'll continue through the night with additional literature, music, and information. You're listening to WVOS, serving Clearwater Valley through the night. As we approach midnight, we want to remind residents that emergency personnel remain available. If you have a medical emergency, call 911. If you're experiencing a psychiatric crisis, the crisis hotline is available. The number is on your screen. Trained counselors are standing by. For those who are managing adequately, we encourage you to continue with the strategies that are working. Listen to music. Listen to readings. Engage in quiet activities. Try to rest if you can, though we understand sleep may be difficult given the circumstances. Even lying quietly with eyes closed provides some rest, even if actual sleep doesn't come. We have Director Margaret Chen again with a midnight status update. This is Director Chen. I'm providing our midnight status report. The situation remains stable. The phenomena continue but are not intensifying further. The shelter-in-place order remains in effect and will continue through tomorrow, September 16th, and likely several days beyond. We're asking residents to prepare mentally for an extended period of restricted movement. This is not a short-term situation. It may be a week or more before conditions normalize sufficiently to lift restrictions. I know this is not the news you wanted to hear. I know you're tired of being confined. I know the uncertainty is exhausting, but this is the reality we're facing, and we need to adapt to it. Think of this as a long-term situation requiring sustainable coping strategies rather than a brief emergency requiring short-term endurance. Take care of your physical health. Eat regular meals even if you're not hungry. Drink adequate water. Get what sleep you can. Do some physical activity indoors. These basics matter more during extended stress than during brief crisis. Take care of your mental health. Connect with others by phone. Maintain routines as much as possible. Allow yourself to feel what you're feeling without judgment. Fear, anxiety, frustration, sadness. These are all appropriate responses. Don't suppress them, but also don't let them overwhelm you. Balance acknowledgement with coping. Take care of each other. Check on neighbors. Support family members. Be patient with people who are struggling more than you are. We're a community. We endure together or not at all. I want to share something personal. I'm afraid too. I don't fully understand what's happening. I don't know how this ends. I'm making decisions with incomplete information and hoping they're right. I'm human, facing the unknown, just like all of you. But I'm choosing to believe we'll get through this. I'm choosing to focus on what I can control rather than what I can't. I'm choosing connection over isolation, hope over despair, action over paralysis. I encourage you to make those same choices. Tomorrow during daylight hours, we'll provide more detailed information about long-term protocols. For now, continue as you are. Stay safe. Stay inside. Stay connected to this station and to each other. This is Director Chen. Good night, Clearwater Valley. Thank you, Director Chen. That was a deeply human message from our Director of Civil Preparedness. We're all facing this together, authorities and residents alike, none of us with perfect answers, all of us doing our best. WVOS Channel 14 is honored to serve as a connection point for our community during these difficult days. The time is 12:15 a.m., September 16th, 1987. We're now into the second day of the atmospheric event. We'll continue broadcasting through the night. Coming up, we have more music selections, including some contemporary pieces, then we'll return to readings around 2 a.m. Please stay with us. The music that follows is different from the classical selections earlier. Contemporary composers, minimalist works, ambient pieces that create atmosphere rather than demanding active attention. Philip Glass's repetitive structures, Brian Eno's ambient compositions, music designed to occupy the background of consciousness, to create calm without requiring focus. The sounds from outside may still be audible even through the music. The low hum, the irregular high tones, the atmospheric phenomena continue. But the music provides a human counterpoint, a reminder that art and creativity persist regardless of external circumstances. As the night progresses toward morning, towards sunrise still hours away, Clearwater Valley waits. Residents in darkened homes, listening to broadcasts from WVOS, connected through electromagnetic waves that humans have learned to control and use for communication. Even as other electromagnetic phenomena beyond human control create conditions they don't yet understand. The station continues broadcasting, music and readings and updates, a voice in the darkness, a connection between isolated individuals, proof that technology and human organization still function even when human understanding fails. The broadcast will continue through the night, through tomorrow, through however many days this situation lasts. WVOS Channel 14 will remain on the air, serving Clearwater Valley until conditions normalize or until broadcasting becomes impossible. For now, the station broadcasts, the music plays, the valley listens. And outside, unseen behind curtains and covered windows, the night sky displays phenomena that human eyes are not meant to process, that human minds are not equipped to comprehend, that suggests something about the universe that challenges everything humans thought they understood about their place within it. This is WVOS Channel 14, broadcasting through the night, September 16, 1987. We're here. You're not alone. Stay with us. This is WVOS Channel 14. The time is 3 a.m., September 16, 1987. We continue our overnight broadcasting. The shelter-in-place order remains in effect. All residents should remain indoors with windows covered. We're providing continuous programming to help you through the night. Over the past several hours, we've received numerous calls and messages from residents sharing their experiences. With permission, we'd like to share some of these anonymously. Hearing from others in the community may help you feel less isolated in your own experience. One resident writes, "I keep hearing my daughter's voice calling me from outside. My daughter is in college 3 states away. I know she's safe. I called her an hour ago and she's fine, but I still hear her voice calling for help. It sounds exactly like her. I know it's not real, but my instincts scream at me to open the door." Another resident shares, "I've been seeing patterns in the darkness with my eyes closed, geometric shapes that move and shift. Sometimes they arrange themselves into forms that seem meaningful, like they're trying to communicate something. I know Deputy Director Torres said not to look for meaning in these experiences, but the patterns feel intentional." A third resident reports, "Time keeps skipping. I'll look at the clock and it's 1 a.m. I'll look away for what feels like a few minutes, and when I look back, it's 2:30 a.m. An hour and a half gone. I don't remember it passing. I wasn't asleep. The time just disappeared." These experiences are not uncommon. Many of you are having similar phenomena. The electromagnetic conditions are affecting human neurology in profound ways. Your brains are trying to process information they weren't designed to process, and the results are these unusual perceptions and experiences. What's important to understand is that none of this indicates you're in danger. You're not losing your mind. You're not being harmed. You're experiencing what happens when human consciousness encounters conditions outside its normal parameters. When this is over, when the electromagnetic interference subsides, these experiences will stop. Your mind will return to normal function. The effects are temporary, but in the moment, they're very real and very disturbing. We acknowledge that. We're not dismissing your experiences or telling you they don't matter. We're simply trying to provide context that may help you manage your response to them. If you're struggling, remember you're not alone. Thousands of people in this valley, millions across the affected areas, are having similar experiences. You're part of a collective phenomenon, and humans are remarkably resilient. We adapt, we endure, we find ways to cope with circumstances that seem unbearable. You will get through this night, tomorrow will come, and each day will be incrementally easier as you adjust to the situation. WVOS Channel 14 is here with you through all of it. We'll continue broadcasting no matter how long this lasts. Now let's return to our programming. We have more readings prepared than music as we approach sunrise. The readings that follow are different from earlier literature. These are first-person accounts of people facing isolation and hardship. Excerpts from Antarctic explorer journals, passages from survivors of shipwrecks, accounts from prisoners of war, stories of humans enduring circumstances that seemed impossible to survive, yet survived. The theme connecting these readings is resilience, the human capacity to adapt to terrible circumstances, to find meaning even in suffering, to maintain hope when hope seems irrational, to support each other through impossible situations, to simply persist one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, one moment at a time, until the circumstance changes or ends. One particularly resonant passage comes from Ernest Shackleton's Antarctic expedition. After their ship was crushed by ice, Shackleton and his crew survived on ice floes and eventually in small boats, enduring months of extreme conditions with limited supplies. The account describes not just physical survival, but psychological survival. How the crew maintained morale, how they supported each other, how Shackleton's leadership kept them unified and hopeful even when their situation seemed hopeless. Eventually, all crew members survived, a testament to human endurance and cooperation. The reading continues with other survival accounts. A castaway who survived months alone on an island, a miner trapped underground who maintained sanity by establishing routines and staying mentally active, a hostage who endured years of captivity by focusing on what he could control rather than what he couldn't. Each story reinforces the same lesson. Humans can endure almost anything if they maintain hope, purpose, and connection. As the readings conclude, the narrator adds, "We share these stories not to compare your situation to theirs. We share them to remind you that humans have always faced the unknown, the uncomfortable, the seemingly impossible. And humans have always found ways to survive. You carry that same resilience. You have that same capacity. Trust in your ability to endure this. This is WVOS Channel 14. The time is 5 a.m. September 16th, 1987. Sunrise is approximately 90 minutes away. We have Deputy Director Torres with an early morning update. This is Deputy Director Torres. I'm providing our 5 a.m. status report. The phenomena continue through the night. As sunrise approaches, we expect some diminishment in intensity, similar to what occurred yesterday morning. However, the phenomena will not disappear entirely. Daylight conditions will be somewhat easier than night conditions, but the shelter-in-place order will remain in effect. Today's guidelines are as follows. First, maintain the shelter-in-place order. Do not go outside. Do not open windows or look outside. These restrictions continue. Second, we're establishing communication protocols for extended isolation. We need to ensure that isolated individuals, particularly elderly residents or those living alone, maintain regular contact with others. If you know someone who lives alone, please call them today. Check on their well-being, provide social connection. We're setting up a community phone tree to ensure no one is completely isolated. Third, we're addressing supply concerns. We understand that some residents may be running low on essential supplies, food, water, medications. We're developing protocols for emergency supply delivery. If you have a genuine emergency supply need, call the emergency supply hotline. The number is on your screen. Describe your situation and your need. We'll coordinate delivery where possible. This is for genuine emergencies only. If you have adequate supplies for several more days, please conserve the emergency resources for those who have urgent needs. Fourth, regarding information. We know many of you want more answers about what's causing the phenomena, how long they'll last, what they mean. We're working with scientists and experts from multiple institutions and nations. But I need to be honest with you. We don't have complete answers yet. We're learning as we go. When we have definitive information, we'll share it immediately. In the meantime, please be patient with the uncertainty. Finally, I want to address morale. We're asking you to endure difficult circumstances with incomplete information for an indefinite period. That's a lot to ask. I understand if you're feeling frustrated, frightened, or angry. Those emotions are valid. But I'm asking you to channel those emotions into productive action where possible. Take care of yourself and others. Maintain routines. Find small ways to improve your immediate environment. Focus on what you can control. This situation is temporary, even if we don't know exactly when it will end. We'll provide another update at noon. This is Deputy Director Torres. Stay strong, Clearwater Valley. Thank you, Deputy Director Torres. WVOS Channel 14 will continue to provide updates and programming throughout the day. We're committed to serving this community for as long as necessary. The time is 5:30 a.m. As we approach sunrise, we want to prepare you for the transition from night to day. The phenomena will change, but not disappear. Daylight will provide some psychological relief. The sense of oppression that darkness brings will lift somewhat, but the fundamental situation remains unchanged. You're still confined indoors. The atmospheric conditions still persist. Adaptation is still necessary. Use today to establish sustainable routines. If yesterday felt like crisis management, today should feel more like long-term adjustment. Think about how you'll structure your days if this continues for a week, 2 weeks, longer. Establish patterns for meals, activity, rest. Create structure that will help you maintain physical and mental health over an extended period. Connect with others. Call friends and family. If you're part of a faith community, reach out to other members. If you have hobbies or interests, connect with others who share them. Social connection, even by phone, makes isolation more bearable. You're not designed to be alone. Use technology to maintain human contact. Find purpose in small things. Take care of your living space. Read books you've been meaning to read. Learn something new. Create something. Purpose, even small purpose, helps pass time and maintain psychological well-being. You don't need grand goals. Simple, achievable purposes are sufficient. Be kind to yourself and others. Everyone is dealing with this differently. Some people seem calm and you wonder why you're anxious. Some people seem panicked and you wonder why they can't hold it together. Everyone has different resilience, different coping mechanisms, different breaking points. Don't judge yourself or others. Just do your best and support others doing their best. The time is 6 a.m. The sky is beginning to lighten. Dawn is approaching. We're going to play music to accompany the sunrise. Even though you cannot see the sun rise, you can know it's happening. The Earth continues its rotation. The sun continues its nuclear fusion. The fundamental patterns of nature persist regardless of the unusual conditions we're experiencing. There's comfort in that continuity. The music that plays is specifically chosen for this moment. Grieg's Morning Mood from Peer Gynt, composed to represent sunrise in the mountains. Copland's Appalachian Spring, celebrating renewal and hope. Vivaldi's Spring from the Four Seasons, marking the return of light and life. Music that represents dawn, new beginnings, the triumph of light over darkness. As the music plays, the sky outside does lighten. The sun rises at 6:47 a.m., though its light filters through atmospheric conditions that distort and modify it in unusual ways. The phenomena visible during daylight are different from nighttime phenomena, but still present. Strange colors, unusual patterns, visual distortions that hurt to observe, but there is light. The day has begun. This is WVOS Channel 14. The time is 7 a.m., September 16th, 1987. We've survived the night. The sun has risen. We continue into the second full day of this situation. We're still here. You're still here. We endure together. Director Margaret Chen has a morning message for the community. Good morning, Clearwater Valley. This is Director Chen. We've made it through the night. I know it was difficult. I know many of you didn't sleep. I know the experiences you had were disturbing, but you're still here. We're still a community. We're still connected. That matters. Today will be challenging in different ways than last night. The initial adrenaline has faded. Reality is setting in that this isn't a brief emergency, but a sustained situation. The novelty has worn off, leaving only the grinding reality of confinement and uncertainty. This is the phase where maintaining morale becomes critical. I want to share what we know about the phenomena. As of this morning, scientists working around the clock have determined that we're experiencing what they're calling a large-scale coherence event in the electromagnetic field surrounding Earth. This event appears to be interacting with human consciousness in ways that create the perceptual and cognitive effects we've been experiencing. What's causing this event? The leading hypothesis is that we're passing through a region of space with unusual properties. As Earth orbits the Sun, and as our solar system moves through the galaxy, we occasionally encounter regions of space with different characteristics. This appears to be one of those regions. How long will we be in this region? Projections suggest days to weeks, possibly longer. What does this mean practically? It means we need to adapt to living under these conditions for an extended period. It means accepting that our normal lives are suspended and that we need to establish a new temporary normal. It means recognizing that this will eventually end, but that eventually might be further away than we'd like. I'm establishing new protocols effective immediately. We're organizing community support networks. We're setting up supply distribution systems. We're creating communication trees to ensure everyone stays connected. We're developing mental health support structures. We're treating this as a long-term situation requiring organized response rather than a short-term emergency requiring only endurance. I need your help with this. I need you to participate in the community structures we're creating. I need you to check on neighbors and let neighbors check on you. I need you to be honest about your needs and generous in meeting others' needs where you can. I need you to maintain hope while being realistic about challenges. I need you to be the resilient, caring community I know Clearwater Valley is. We will get through this. Not easily, not quickly, but we will get through it together. This is Director Chen. Thank you for your strength and your patience. Thank you, Director Chen. That was an important message about the long-term nature of our situation and the need for organized community response. WVOS Channel 14 will continue to support these community efforts. We'll provide programming, information, and connection throughout the duration of this event. The time is 7:30 a.m. We're going to continue with music and readings throughout the morning. At noon, we'll have detailed information about the community support networks Director Chen mentioned. In the meantime, please take care of yourselves. Eat breakfast, do some physical activity, connect with someone by phone, establish your routine for the day. Remember, you're not alone in this. Everyone in Clearwater Valley is facing the same situation. We're connected through shared experience and through broadcasts like this. WVOS Channel 14 remains your link to community, your source of information, your reminder that even in isolation, you're part of something larger than yourself. As we move into the second day, We want to acknowledge the fear, frustration, and uncertainty you're feeling. We also want to acknowledge your resilience. You've made it this far, you'll make it further. One day at a time, 1 hour at a time, one moment at a time. That's all any of us can do. And that's enough. The morning continues. The sun climbs higher in a sky that looks wrong but provides light nonetheless. The phenomena persist, but seem slightly less oppressive in daylight. The community adapts, finding ways to endure, establishing routines that will sustain them through however many days this lasts. In homes throughout Clearwater Valley, residents listen to WVOS broadcasts. Some are alone, some are with family, all are confined, all are uncertain, all are adapting as best they can. The broadcasts continue, providing rhythm to the day, connection across isolation, proof that organization and communication persist despite circumstances that challenge understanding. This is WVOS Channel 14, serving Clearwater Valley through the second day of atmospheric phenomena. We're here. You're here. We continue together. Stay safe. Stay connected. We'll make it through. The recording ends here. The tapes recovered from WVOS Channel 14 cover the first 36 hours of what came to be known as the Clearwater Valley event. Subsequent broadcasts were not preserved, though the station continued transmitting for 3 additional days before going silent. What happened during those later days and what ultimately became of Clearwater Valley and its residents remains a matter of speculation and incomplete documentation. The phenomena themselves lasted 7 days, affecting not just Clearwater Valley, but the entire planet. When they ended, they did so suddenly, leaving behind a population profoundly changed by what they had experienced. Some adapted quickly, others never fully recovered. The world continued, but with the understanding that reality was less stable, less comprehensible, less comfortable than humans had believed. This archive collection represents a moment when a community faced the unknown together, when ordinary people endured extraordinary circumstances, when the familiar structures of daily life revealed their fragility, but also their importance. These broadcasts from WVOS Channel 14 remain as testimony to human resilience, human connection, and human persistence in the face of cosmic forces beyond our understanding or control. Thank you for listening. This concludes our archive presentation.